Hello fellow Star Wars fans, my name is Starrapter. Welcome to the channel. It's a big week for Thrawn fans because he does return in the comics. Plus we have the continuing adventures of the High Republic adventures. More on this, but first make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already to stay up to speed on the latest Star Wars comics. Getting into it with the marquee event for this week, and that is the Thrawn Alliances adaptation, long awaited. This is written in part by Timothy Zahn, the creator of this book, as well as Jody Hauser. Now, this has the artists, Pat Olive and Andrea DeVito. So, if you guys have read Thrawn Alliances, which I think came out in like 2018, 2019, something like that, then you're going to be very familiar with the story. But now we have these glorious images, this glorious color all spread throughout. So in this first issue, we get up to speed with what is happening. This is an oversized issue, by the way. So there's a lot of cutting between present day and past tense in the story. And the whole crux of it is Anakin and Thrawn work together in the Clone Wars, and then Vader and Thrawn work together during the Galactic Civil War. We're seeing that crossover happen. So we pick up in the middle of an operation where Thrawn is working with Commander Faro on the Chimera, dealing with these rebels, I guess, that are dealing with this kind of shipping issues. Then he's called to the Emperor. So that's put on back hold. But we get to see Thrawn's, I like how we see that opening scene of Thrawn working through what makes him Thrawn, right? He is the Sherlock Holmes of the Star Wars galaxy. He is one step ahead of every other intellectual out there. That's what makes him so good as a commander. So we get to see him and Vader, who have to go and check out the far out spaces, the wild space, if you will, because Emperor has sensed a dark presence out there. So it's really cool to see Vader and Thrawn working together. You got one guy who is Dark Lord of the Sith, one guy who is a mastermind. And of course, things don't go as smoothly as you would expect. So they are pulled out of hyperspace. And that is when Vader is talking to Thrawn and they're saying, hey, you know, this is familiar to us. And we go into the past tense and we see with Padme, who goes to Batuu, she has an agent there, one of her handmaidens ends up getting killed, and she was following a lead of separatists on this place called Mokiv, and now she's going to go look at that. And now Anakin Skywalker arrives at Batuu because of her, her beacon, and that's when he runs into Thrawn. So we're seeing Thrawn, Anakin Skywalker working together to find out this mystery. Thrawn is working for the Chiss. He wants to get more information about the Republic, get information about what he calls lesser space, because he's from the chaos, the unknown regions. So we saw that dichotomy going and playing through. And in the present time, we're dealing with Thrawn, we're dealing with Vader, figuring out why they got pulled out of hyperspace. There's nothing that could pull a Star Destroyer like the Chimera out of hyperspace. Thrawn is having a discussion with Vader saying it's impossible, and Vader saying, well, you just didn't look hard enough. There's other people making different technologies maybe we don't know about. And that makes them go to Batuu. Yes, Galaxy's Edge. If you've gone to Oga's Cantina, you might have actually seen explosions or something kind of blaster bolts in the walls. And that's because of this very issue. We have the Darksai, which are these different aliens from the unknown regions that have come in and are really hassling these people. And that is when Vader and Thrawn are fighting off against them. And that's where we kind of leave off in a cliffhanger. There's a lot to go over in this issue. What I liked about this issue is it feels like a proper novel canon adaptation. There's a lot of information here, but I feel like it's not overwhelming. I like the length of this comic because we're able to actually get all these different parts together. First things first, beck and call ships. That's from Legends. We see that Padme had found the beck and call from her handmaiden and is able to call down her ship and find out what she was looking for. So I really like that. The idea of the Chiss ship designs. We get to see Anakin Skywalker encountering a Chiss for the first time in Thrawn, Commander Thrawn at that point of his career, and seeing how sleek that ship looked. It brings me back to Heir to the Empire and seeing those kind of Chiss ships back in the day there. We get to see how the Empire treats different species and why they are mainly all humans, and how these stormtroopers on this hangar of the Chimera were like, we don't want to have this guy's ship here because he is an alien. And it's very interesting because we see all throughout the movies that they're like that. So yeah, overall, there's just such great stuff in this. Yeah, I didn't really like Vader's design, his art design in this. It's kind of cartoony for me. Otherwise, I really did like this issue. Can't wait for the next 3. Getting into the High Republic Adventures issue number 2. This one is called The Ballad of Tarek. 7, Part 1, of course written by Daniel Jose Alder, with artwork by Harvey Talabal and Nick Brokenshire. And we pick up where we left off, kind of. We go back in time. So Lula Talassola at the end of issue number 1 is unmasked. We think it's a Nile. It's actually her. And then we get to see Zine Morala and her having a nice kiss. And that's where things end. It's like a big WTF moment. Wait, what? This Nile person is actually Lula, who they thought was dead this entire time since Starlight Beacon fell. Yes, remind you, this is in phase 3, year after Starlight Beacon collapses. So we get to see these characters. We get to see what happened with Lula Talassola. And this is an absolute shocker. She has some kind of memory loss because she gets out of Starlight Beacon and doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know who she belongs with. She actually thinks she belongs with the Nile Marauders, even though she doesn't know who they are. So she ends up scavenging her gear and heading out. And over the last year or so, I guess, is thinking that's what she belongs doing, is just, you know, doing a life of Nile stuff, right? And that's where we get the present day, where Zine Morala is showing to everybody, like, no, this is actually Lula Talassola, and not Tarek, and now they are getting out of there. And we see the good old character of Court, who is doing his very best to use the Force to misdirect all these missiles that these Mickeyans are firing to try to kill Tarek or Lula at this point. And we know that they said they made a call to arms of all the Mickeyans to come to this planet to get what they deserve. That's what Lula Talassola had said. And now they're getting out of there. And by the end of this issue, we see Court, and we see Lula, and we see Zine, and even that little bird thing, bat thingy, forget the name right now, all hugging. And it was like, this is, and they said literally, like, this is my home, even though I'm still trying to remember. So it's a pretty tragic thing, because it's this really bright moment of finding Lula Talassola, but the idea of her just having lost memory. Now, I don't know if it's because the Nameless did something to her or what, but I would assume we're going to get that answer. But I think this is a great script. The first several pages don't even really have dialogue at some points, but they do such a great job of following this character, trying to make her way through the galaxy. Absolutely loved it. What did you guys think of the 2 comics that came out this week? Let me know in the comment section down below. For more on these comics, a bigger, deeper discussion on these comics, I go live with Matthew Neugebauer on the Star Wars Underworld podcast channel, YouTube channel, called the Tractor Beam Show, every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. You guys pick up your comics. You want the latest discussion and punditry on those comics, you go to the Star Wars Underworld. You be there. You chat with us. We'll break it down in even more detail than I do right here on the channel. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe over there, and do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know what you thought about this week's comics. For more on the next thing, we have Dr. Aphra coming out next week, the final issue. Cannot wait. Man, oh man, things are really wrapping up in this era of Star Wars storytelling. But until next time, it's going to do for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.